No. This can't be. Who is?
Valentina Marchand had authenticated 10,000 paintings. This one stole her breath. A woman by a window, face turned away. Paris rooftops burning gold behind her. No signature, no provenance. Just 5 words on the back. Pour elle toujours. J, for her, always. Valentina knew those shoulders. She had buried them 6 months ago. The auction house was quiet at 7 a.m. Valentina liked it that way. No collectors lingering with espresso. No phones ringing. No voices trying to bend numbers. Just her and the work. Christie's, New York. Senior specialist in post-war European paintings. 29. Youngest in the department. And if anyone asked, unbreakable. Today's intake was supposed to be simple. A sealed shipment from a recently settled estate. 47 pieces. Minor works. Decorative buys. A safe catalogue. Valentina moved down the storage aisle with a clipboard, checking tags, matching crates, calling out lot numbers into the silence. Then she saw a canvas leaning against the back wall, wrapped in brown paper, untaped, like someone had meant to come back for it and never did. Valentina pulled the paper away, and the world tilted. A woman sat by a window in late autumn light. Back to the viewer, hair pinned low, neck exposed, posture quiet in a way that hurt. Behind her, Paris rooftops glowed like a memory refusing to fade. Valentina's fingers tightened on the frame. She knew that window. She had seen it in old photographs her mother kept hidden in the back of a drawer. A Paris apartment in the Marais. A life Isabelle Marchand had never explained. Valentina turned the canvas over. Her throat went dry. Pour elle toujours. She touched the pencil marks like they might turn warm. Her mother had never mentioned a G. Her mother had never mentioned Paris. Her mother had treated everything before 1995 like a locked room. Valentina lifted her phone and took 2 photos. The painting, the words. She stared at the screen until her eyes blurred. Then she made a decision that felt like stepping off a ledge. She was going to find G, whatever it cost. If you want the moment this painting opens the past. Subscribe now. Valentina didn't wait for permission. She couldn't. She started with the surface truth. The brushwork was disciplined. European trained. The color choices weren't. They carried heat, mineral reds, smoked greens, a blue that felt like Mexico rather than Paris. It wasn't an amateur. It wasn't a hobbyist. It was somebody hiding. She ran the image through every internal database she had access to. No matches, no records, no catalog raisonné, no stolen art flags. The painting didn't exist, not officially. So Valentina went the long way. Paris. Early 1990s, Latin American artists, École des Beaux-Arts rosters, small gallery catalogues, exhibition announcements in forgotten French magazines. She spent 3 nights at her kitchen table with a laptop and cold coffee, chasing ghosts through PDFs. And then she found a name, Gabriel Herrera, Mexican, born 1966 in Oaxaca. Full scholarship to the Beaux-Arts, 1990, 3 small solo shows in the Marais and Saint-Germain. A few critics calling him promising and dangerous. No sales recorded. Then nothing. After 1994, Gabriel Herrera vanished. No new exhibitions, no representation, no studio address, no obituary, no trace, as if he had never existed. Valentina leaned back and felt her heartbeat climb. The year before she was born. The year her mother never spoke aloud. She closed her laptop and looked around her apartment. Isabelle's apartment, now hers. The place still smelled faintly like her mother's perfume, soft and expensive, as if the scent had refused to accept the funeral. Valentina crossed to the closet. She knelt, and she pulled out the small wooden box she had been avoiding for 6 months. Old wood, a broken latch held together with yellowing tape. Her mother's handwriting wasn't on it. No labels, no warnings. Valentina had respected her mother's privacy while she was alive. Now privacy felt like another lie. She tore the tape away and snapped the latch. Inside were letters, dozens, all addressed to Isabelle Marchand, all with the same red stamp, return to sender. Valentina's stomach tightened. She lifted the first envelope, postmarked Paris 9. The return address was written carefully. Gabriel Herrera. She opened it. My dearest Isabelle, they put me on a plane last night. I didn't get to say goodbye. I'm writing from the airport in Mexico City. One day I had a visa, the next I didn't. I don't understand what happened. I'll find a way back. I promise. Wait for me. The painting is still in your apartment. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't sign it. Signing it means it's done, and I'm not done with you. Forever yours, Gabriel. Valentina's eyes burned. She opened another, and another, and another. 30 letters. 30 years. All returned. All unread. They weren't unopened because Isabel didn't care. They were unopened because Isabel never received them. Valentina turned each envelope over, looking for a clue. The same red stamp, the same neat pen mark in the corner, a tiny P, her grandfather's initial. Valentina froze. Philippe Marchand, 82. Connecticut. A mind like a blade, a voice like ice. He had written that P on Valentina's birthday cards every year, a flourish she had always hated, even as a child. Valentina found the last letter at the bottom of the box. Different paper, no postmark, no stamp. Her mother's handwriting. Addressed to Gabriel, never sent. My Gabriel, if you ever read this, I need you to know something. I waited for years. I wrote to you. Every letter came back. My father told me you died. A car accident in Mexico. I believed him. I had no reason not to. I married someone else. Not because I loved him, because I gave up. But there is something I never told anyone. We have a daughter. Her name is Valentina. She has your eyes, your hands, your way of seeing the world. I'm dying now. Cancer. Quick. Unfair. I tried to find you. I failed. But Valentina will find you. I know she will. Forgive me for not being braver. Forgive me for believing the lie. I never stopped loving you. Not for one day. The painting you left, I moved it into storage. I couldn't look at it. It hurt too much, but I couldn't sell it either. It was proof we existed. Find her, Gabriel. Find our daughter. Forever yours, Isabel. Valentina lowered the letter and sat very still. The room felt too small. The air felt thin. Gabriel Herrera wasn't a stranger. He was her father, and her grandfather had erased him. If you're still here, you're going to want the next part. Hit subscribe. The next morning, Valentina called the care facility in Connecticut. She didn't ask if Philippe was available. She told them she was coming. She drove north through grey afternoon light that made the highway feel endless. Philippe was in the garden when she arrived. Wheelchair. Financial Times folded on his lap like a shield. He looked like a man who still believed he controlled the world. Valentina sat across from him. I found the painting, she said. Philippe's eyes stayed on the page. Which painting, he asked. The one Gabriel Herrera made of Mom. The newspaper trembled, just once. Valentina watched his hands. She watched the knuckles that had signed checks and closed doors and ruined lives. I found the letters too, she continued. All 30. Philippe's mouth tightened. Valentina pulled one envelope from her bag and placed it on his lap. Return to sender. The little P. In your handwriting, Valentina added. Philippe finally looked at her.
Cold eyes.
And something beneath them. Not softness. Not remorse. Calculation. You had no right, he said. I had every right, Valentina replied. He was my father. Philippe's jaw flexed. Your father was Richard Hale, he said. The man who raised you. The man your mother married. Valentina's chest tightened at the name. Richard. Gentle. Gone since she was 12. A good man, Valentina said. But not my blood. And you knew it. Philippe stared at the envelope as if it had betrayed him. Why? Valentina asked. Why did you destroy them? Philippe's voice lowered, careful. Because I know what poverty looks like, he said. I grew up with nothing. My father drank. My mother cleaned houses. I built everything from nothing. His mouth curved. Not quite a smile. And I swore my daughter would never suffer like I did. Valentina leaned forward. So you made sure she suffered in a different way. Philippe's eyes sharpened. Gabriel Herrera had talent, he said. Maybe even brilliance. But he had no money, no connections, no future. He would have dragged her down. Valentina's hands curled into fists. So you lied, she said. You told her he was dead. Philippe didn't deny it. You sent back his letters. Philippe's throat moved as he swallowed. You erased him. Philippe's gaze dropped. For the first time his voice cracked. I protected her, he whispered. Valentina's laugh came out sharp and ugly. She spent her whole life missing him, she said. She married a man she didn't love because she thought she had no choice. She died with his name still inside her, and you call that protection? Philip's face crumpled for a second. Not enough. Not nearly enough. I was wrong, he said. I know that now. Valentina stood. Where is he? She asked. Gabriel. Where is he? Philip's hands opened, empty. I don't know, he admitted. After I sent the letters back, he stopped writing. I assumed he gave up, or died. I never checked. Valentina turned to leave. Valentina, Philippe called. She stopped but didn't face him. I'm sorry, he said. 2 words. 30 years too late. Valentina walked out without answering. Some apologies can't be accepted. They can only be witnessed. Valentina went back to New York and stopped sleeping. She searched in the hours people were supposed to rest. Mexican public records, old gallery archives, expired scholarships. Every Gabriel Herrera she could find. Nothing. Then she reread his first letter, not for the romance, for the details. He had mentioned a landlady in Paris, Madame Dupont, the only person in this city who believes in me. Valentina searched building records in the Marais. She found an address that matched the letters. She booked a flight to Paris the same night. Subscribe now. The person who knows where he went is waiting in the next city. Madame Dupont was 85. Still in the same building. Still sharp enough to remember what mattered. She opened her door and studied Valentina's face like she was reading a familiar book. Vous cherchez quelqu'un? Madame Dupont observed. Yes, Valentina answered. Gabriel Herrera. Madame Dupont's eyes softened. Le petit Mexicain, she said. So talented, so stubborn. Valentina's throat tightened. And Isabelle, Madame Dupont asked, already knowing the name. Valentina nodded. My mother, she replied. Madame Dupont exhaled as if she'd been holding it for decades. Love like that, she murmured. You can't hide it. Everyone knew. She stepped closer and tilted Valentina's chin gently, like an old aunt. You have his eyes, she said. Valentina felt tears rise too fast. You knew, Valentina whispered. I suspected, Madame Dupont replied. When Isabelle came to clear his things after he was sent away, she was crying, but she was also different. Madame Dupont pressed a hand to her own chest. I've seen that look before. Valentina swallowed. Do you know where he is? She asked. Is he alive? Madame Dupont walked to a desk and pulled out an envelope worn at the edges. No return address, she said, but the postmark, Oaxaca. Valentina's breath caught. Madame Dupont handed it to her. He thanked me, she continued, for believing in him. He said he was done with painting, but he was still alive. Valentina scanned the letter. At the bottom, a place name, San Pablo Etla. Madame Dupont nodded toward it. In the mountains, she said. He went there to disappear. Valentina's hands shook as she folded the letter. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt terrified, because finding him meant making the past real. She flew to Mexico the next day. Oaxaca City smelled like rain, dust, and food she couldn't name. Valentina rented a car and drove into the mountains. Asphalt became rough road. Road became dirt. Villages shrank into silence. San Pablo Etla was barely a dot. A church. A plaza. A few houses pressed against green hills. Valentina parked near the plaza and approached an older woman selling fruit. Gabriel Herrera? Valentina asked in careful Spanish. The woman nodded. El pintor, she said. The painter. Viva Riba. She pointed to a small house on the hillside. Blue door. Smoke lifting from the chimney. Valentina's heart thudded hard enough to hurt. She walked up the path. Each step felt like 30 years. She reached the door. She raised her hand and knocked. Footsteps answered. The door opened. A man stood there. 58 maybe? Grey threaded through his hair. Lines cut into his face like weather. Paint stains on his hands, old stains, as if they belonged to another life. He looked at Valentina and froze. His eyes widened. He had painted those eyes, once, without ever seeing them in the world. His breath stopped, because he knew those eyes. Isabelle? He whispered. His voice broke on the name. Valentina shook her head. No, she said softly. I'm Valentina. The man gripped the door frame. Valentina, he repeated, like tasting the word. The words hit him like a wave. He stepped back and covered his face with both hands. Isabelle's daughter, Valentina added. Your daughter. Then his shoulders shook. For a long moment, he didn't speak. She had a daughter, he managed. Gabriel lowered his hands. Tears ran down his face without permission. Yes, Valentina said. Her voice trembled. She did. She's gone, Valentina said. 6 months ago. Cancer. Gabriel's eyes shut. I wrote, he whispered. I wrote so many letters. Valentina reached into her bag and handed him Isabel's unsent letter. She wrote too, Valentina replied. But she never got yours. Gabriel read. He read like a starving man. His hands shook harder the further he went. When he reached the part about Philippe's lie, something raw crossed his face. Valentina nodded. When he reached the part about Valentina's eyes and hands, he looked up as if seeing her for the first time. She loved me, he whispered. Then he asked the question that had been killing him for decades. The whole time, she said. Gabriel swallowed. Valentina pulled out her phone and showed him the photo. The painting, he said. Is it still there? The woman by the window, the unsigned corner, the Paris light. Gabriel stared at it like he was staring at a wound. Gabriel's voice turned small. She kept it. He breathed. She couldn't look at it, Valentina said, but she couldn't let it go. Valentina held his gaze. Can you finish it now? She asked. I never finished it, he admitted. I never signed it, because finishing meant accepting it was over. At proof, then he looked back at Valentina. Gabriel looked past her, toward mountains and sky, and all the years he had thrown away. At consequence, at a second chance wearing his daughter's face. Yes, he said. One word, one step back into life. 3 months later, Christie's, New York. Not an auction spectacle, a private viewing. One painting, one story. Collectors didn't whisper about the artist. Valentina stood near the entrance, watching people slow down in front of the canvas the way she had, alive in a room he thought he'd never see again. Gabriel stood beside her, uncomfortable in a suit that didn't belong to him. They whispered about the feeling. The painting hung center wall. Same woman, same light, a signature. But now, in the lower right corner, there was ink. Same hidden face. Pour elle, toujours. Gabriel Herrera. And beneath it, a dedication, not L, for them, always. L's, for Isabel, for Valentina. A journalist approached, voice careful, as if the room might break. Why did you wait so long to sign it? She asked. Gabriel looked at the painting, at the daughter he found, at the woman he lost. It wasn't over, he continued. It was just waiting. Because for 30 years, he replied. I thought the story was over. He swallowed. He glanced at Valentina. She found it, he said. She found me. Valentina felt her eyes burn. The bids came later. She didn't look away. Quiet, serious, unreal, because people had discovered the story inside the brushstrokes. The final number landed higher than anyone expected. Not because the market had suddenly discovered Gabriel Herrera. Afterward, Gabriel asked for one thing. A scholarship fund. Not in his name. In Valentina's. Not in Isabel's. For young artists from Oaxaca, he explained. So no one has to disappear to survive. That night, they walked through Central Park. Valentina didn't argue. She just nodded and held his hand tighter. What now? Valentina asked. The city hummed around them. Lights, traffic, life. Gabriel looked up at the trees like he was seeing them for the first time. Valentina smiled through tears. I paint again, he said. But not that pain. Something new, she asked. Something that doesn't hurt, Gabriel replied. They walked in silence for a while. Grey threaded through his hair. Lines cut into his face like weather. Paint stains on his hands, old stains, as if they belonged to another life. He looked at Valentina and froze. His eyes widened. His breath stopped, because he knew those eyes. He had painted those eyes, once, without ever seeing them in the world. Isabel? He whispered. His voice broke on the name. Valentina shook her head. No, she said softly. I'm Valentina. The man gripped the door frame. Valentina, he repeated, like tasting the word. Isabel's daughter, Valentina added. Your daughter. The words hit him like a wave. He stepped back and covered his face with both hands. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then his shoulders shook. She had a daughter, he managed. Yes, Valentina said. Her voice trembled. She did. Gabriel lowered his hands. Tears ran down his face without permission. She's gone, Valentina said. 6 months ago. Cancer. Gabriel's eyes shut. I wrote, he whispered. I wrote so many letters. Valentina reached into her bag and handed him Isabel's unsent letter. She wrote too, Valentina replied. But she never got yours. Gabriel read. He read like a starving man. His hands shook harder the further he went. When he reached the part about Philippe's lie, something raw crossed his face. When he reached the part about Valentina's eyes and hands, he looked up as if seeing her for the first time. She loved me, he whispered. Valentina nodded. The whole time, she said. Gabriel swallowed. Then he asked the question that had been killing him for decades. The painting, he said. Is it still there? Valentina pulled out her phone and showed him the photo. The woman by the window, the unsigned corner, the Paris light. Gabriel stared at it like he was staring at a wound. She kept it. He breathed. She couldn't look at it, Valentina said, but she couldn't let it go. Gabriel's voice turned small. I never finished it, he admitted. I never signed it, because finishing meant accepting it was over. Valentina held his gaze. Can you finish it now? She asked. Gabriel looked past her, toward mountains and sky, and all the years he had thrown away. Then he looked back at Valentina, at proof, at consequence, at a second chance wearing his daughter's face. Yes, he said. One word, one step back into life. 3 months later, Christie's, New York. Not an auction spectacle, a private viewing. One painting, one story. Valentina stood near the entrance, watching people slow down in front of the canvas the way she had. Collectors didn't whisper about the artist. They whispered about the feeling. Gabriel stood beside her, uncomfortable in a suit that didn't belong to him, alive in a room he thought he'd never see again. The painting hung center wall. Same woman, same light, same hidden face. But now, in the lower right corner, there was ink, a signature, and beneath it, a dedication. Pour elle, toujours. Gabriel Herrera, not L's, for them, always. For Isabel, for Valentina. A journalist approached, voice careful, as if the room might break. Why did you wait so long to sign it? She asked. Gabriel looked at the painting, at the woman he lost, at the daughter he found. Because for 30 years, he replied. I thought the story was over. He swallowed. It wasn't over, he continued. It was just waiting. He glanced at Valentina. She found it, he said. She found me. Valentina felt her eyes burn. She didn't look away. The bids came later. Quiet, serious, unreal. The final number landed higher than anyone expected. Not because the market had suddenly discovered Gabriel Herrera, because people had discovered the story inside the brushstrokes. Afterward, Gabriel asked for one thing. A scholarship fund. Not in his name, not in Isabel's, in Valentina's. For young artists from Oaxaca, he explained. So no one has to disappear to survive. Valentina didn't argue. She just nodded and held his hand tighter. That night, they walked through Central Park. The city hummed around them. Lights, traffic, life. What now? Valentina asked. Gabriel looked up at the trees like he was seeing them for the first time. I paint again, he said. But not that pain. Valentina smiled through tears. Something new, she asked. Something that doesn't hurt, Gabriel replied. They walked in silence for a while. Then Gabriel stopped and turned to her. Thank you, he said. Valentina frowned. For what? For finding me, Gabriel answered. For not giving up. For being braver than both of us. Valentina's throat tightened. She told me I'd be stubborn, she said. Gabriel's laugh came out real, surprising even him. She was right, he replied. They stood there, father and daughter. Not healed. Not finished. But begun. Some paintings don't need a signature to be real. They just need to be seen. And some stories don't need a perfect ending. They just need a second chance to start. How would you rate this story out of 10? Tell us in the comments. To support the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications.